Yes, it is. Welcome along, Chris Reardon, with today's United Kingdom talk. A warm welcome along to you, boys and girls. And shock horror news at the weekend. Now, if you're not in the UK, you might not understand this, but Terry Wogan has quit commentating for the Euro... Oh, I got the music for that. Hang on a minute. Terry Wogan has quit. Oh, hang on, I've got to find it. Should have done this earlier, shouldn't I, already? It's funny, actually, when... you do a little show, and oh, hang on, Euro. Oh, there must be an O in there. Just a minute. I've spelt something wrong. Just a minute. Just a minute. Euro Tramp. No, I can't find it. I cannot find it, lovey. 1 minute. Is it on G? There it is. There it is. There it is. I knew I would find it. Terry Wogan has quit as commentator of the Eurovision Song Contest. Yes. Oh dear. Well, he thinks it's all not down to music anymore now, rather down to politics. And I have to say I agree. The great Terry says nothing that is incorrect in my mind, dear. So there we are. Terry Wogan has quit commentating for the Eurovision Song Contest. Now, if you don't know what that is, it's like this competition where lots of countries put in a song, and the idea of it is the song that is most popular. Notice I say song that is most popular, not necessarily the best song. Ha! Far from it, dear. If it was all down to the best song, then of course, without any question in my book, the UK would win it time and time again. But it's not. It's supposed to be about the most popular song, and the idea is each country votes for their favourite song. At the end of the one with the most votes wins. But I'm afraid in the last couple of years, it hasn't actually worked like that, and it's all become a little bit political and, you know, neighbours voting for the country next to them and all that business. So Terry Wogan gets down on one knee, gets up again, has quit, only to be taken over by Graham Norton. Now, I actually think that's a good choice. Graham Norton is this little pint-sized person, even smaller than me, boys and girls. Oh, yes, even smaller than me. Incidentally, Graham Norton is yet another celebrity. Oh, but we're going to hear this, I know we are. On James Dean's show. Oh, yes, matineeshow.co.uk. is a podcast done by my other friend, one of my friends, James. Well, I say friend, you know. I use the term very loosely. Oh, James Dean is always quick to be on the phone when he wants something, but not so quick to return calls or to do you favours. There's a couple of things James Dean, I know he does listen to the show. He does. There's a couple of things James has promised me in the past. And don't think you see, I don't know if you think, James, that I forget these things, because I don't. I have an elephant's memory. Is that the right term? I don't. An elephant, the memory of an elephant. I never forget, dear. I never forget. Do you remember a certain clock? A computer-generated clock that I asked you to adjust to the prompt? Did that happen? No. Do you remember a certain program that you were going to send me? Did it happen? No. And it's been like that across the years, I'm afraid, because I have known the boy about four or five years now. When he wants something, he wants it like that. When you ask him to do something, it doesn't happen. I'm sorry to reveal that, because it's time, James Dean, that people knew what a cold, calculating person you are. It's true. Dropping one person for another, and I think we know what I mean by that, darling, don't we? That's a little private thing there, boys and girls. I cannot reveal what I mean, can I? No, I can't. Oh, yes, he drops one person as soon as another one comes along. It's shocking, dear. Anyway, back onto the subject. Yes, James Dean has met Graham Norton, yes. And I even think there's I'm sure there's a photograph of the two of them. No doubt that'll be coming out of the woodwork soon. Oh, yes, I met Graham Norton, and you'll see this old black and white photo that was taken many years ago. He keeps everything, you know. He keeps everything and uses it. And sometimes I'm sure he'd be the sort of person, like if we ever had a row, he'd be able to produce something from this little cardboard box that he's got in his office. Yes. And use it against me. I know he would, dear. Anyway, so Graham Norton will be hosting, not hosting, but commentating for the Eurovision, and I think that's a good choice. I'm a great fan of Graham Norton. I don't watch all his programmes, it's only because I haven't got time. But he's a little pint-sized Irish. He is Irish. I think he's Irish, isn't he? Is he Irish? Oh, I'm not sure now. I'm sure he is. Graham, well, it doesn't matter whether he is or not, does it? He's a very good presenter, and that's it. So good luck to him. The only thing is, I did see with Terry Wogan, I was watching this interview on the BBC News website, and Terry Wogan is bringing out a Christmas record to raise money for children in need, which is a big charity here in the UK. And he's bringing out a Christmas record with Aled Jones, who, I mean, I shouldn't really say this. He does appear to have lost his looks a little bit, Aled Jones. Well, no, that's wrong. It's not he's lost his his looks, rather. He appears to be, how can I say this, eating a lot. He's either eating a lot or drinking. Come on, Aled Jones. You're supposed to look like... I always remember as your little choir boy, dear. Huh? Stop eating. Anyway, they've brought out a Christmas record together, and it's just awful. Oh, God. I know they're raising money for charity, and I know it won't be the only awful record in the charts at Christmas. But I was watching the video to this. Aled Jones and Terry Wogan. Type it in YouTube. I'm sure it'll come up. And they're doing that pa-ra-pa-pum-pum song. Come, they told me, pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. And it's just... I mean, I don't know what it would be like if you just listened to the record rather than watching it. And a pair of them are standing next to a piano. And it's just awful. Gotta be the worst Christmas... charity record, and there's always one, isn't there, that I've ever seen. I'm sure to raise money for charity. I might even buy it myself just to help the charity, but the record itself is diabolical. Terry Wogan had a record out years, I think he's had a few out actually, but the one that sticks in my mind is the Bridge House and Rastrick Band or something like that. And the song goes da 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 da. I think that's the one, is it? Oh, let me think. No, da 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 da. Do you know that one? Can't think what it's called anymore, but Wogan had a record out with that, must be 20, 25 years ago. That one was quite good. But this one is awful. If you've seen it, or just type in Terry Wogan, Aled Jones into YouTube or something like that, and I'm sure you will come up with the track that I'm talking about, and see what you think, and do send in your comments. Tell us what you think on that one. It's Chris@UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Chris@UnitedKingdomTalk.co.uk. Now, I, again, am a great fan of Terry Wogan, I have to tell you. Why? Because he doesn't take anything seriously. It's a bit like me. I rarely take things seriously. You've got to laugh at life, and Terry laughs at life. But I completely understand why he dropped the Eurovision, because it's not fun anymore. I'm sorry, it's not. It used to be so much fun, that Eurovision. Now it's become this serious thing with everyone voting for their friends and what have you. So, well done, Terry, for leaving. I think you made the right decision there. There's someone I'd like to meet, Terry Wogan. I could sit there, and we could just sit there with a cup of tea and a couple of scones, a couple of jam scones. And they are called scones, incidentally. Some people up north call them scones, but this is incorrect, okay? If you are listening or watching this programme to learn English, those little things you have on your plate at tea time are called scones. Don't let anyone tell you they're called scones. It doesn't even sound nice, does it? A scone. Don't like it. Scones. All right? So that's the Terry Wogan thing. What was your favourite ever Eurovision song? Do you have one? I've got a few. because quite a few of them were not hits. I liked Cinema, 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 da 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 da. Didn't get anywhere. I can't remember what country that was. I wrote a few down here. There was Happy Man, which was for Ireland. Da 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 da. Can't remember who sang that. There was one from Malta, not long ago, about 5 years ago, called Tell Me Why. There was an Israeli one I liked called Light a Candle. Light a candle with me. 1,000 candles in the dark will open our heart. And then she starts singing it in Hebrew. It's very clever. And I liked Diggy Loo, Diggy Lay. And I think that was one of the Denmark entries. What was your favourite Eurovision tune, if ever you had one? Do let me know. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Matthew, who I read a couple of emails out from you on the last show. Thanks so much. I had a look at that Amiro video, because there's this video that some bloke in America's done, and he reckons that the Americans, the dollar is going to collapse, and they're going to bring out a new currency called the Amiro. And I was watching this video. I'll be honest with you, Matthew, I started falling asleep. I did. As there's this great big bloke on there telling me that he likes to do controversial radio and all this business. Now, it's nothing worse than being I don't like controversial. I really don't. Take a chill pill, dear. Take a chill pill. Chill out, love. God's sake, they get so stressed, some of these people, dear. I mean, I think there's a problem with Jonathan Ross, really. He's well, I don't know if is he a huge star, Jonathan Ross? To me, Jonathan Ross, he's a television presenter, that's it. Nothing special. He gets an awful lot of money for doing what he does. But he's got loads of fans, of course he has. I'm not one of them. Afraid I'm not one of them. I quite like his brother, who does he was doing a radio show on one of the London stations. Now, what's his name? Ross Paul. Is it Paul Ross? Might be Paul Ross. Quite liked him. Jonathan Rush, no, I doesn't do anything for me at all. And all that, and he's always swearing on the television. You never hear me swear on this show, do you? Never. Never in a million years. I wouldn't want to offend someone. I think people are offended by unnecessary swearing on the television all the time. Now, I've just heard on the radio last night, funnily enough, that the BBC wants to clean up its swearing and all that, and they've got this list of words that you can't use. But I mean, why do you need a list? Why do people need a list of things that they can't or can do? Surely it's common sense, isn't it? The last thing I'd ever want to do on this programme is upset someone. But I haven't got a list of things here that I can't talk about. Okay, I have an opinion. We all have opinions. I always ask you to send in your opinions, which I may or may not agree with. But it's an opinion. But that doesn't mean I've said something to offend someone, does it? Whereas, quite frankly, I watch when on the very rare occasions where I've watched Jonathan Ross, he's swearing away, and I'm thinking, why does he keep swearing? It just wants to be controversial, get noticed, and it's totally unnecessary. I will admit that when I'm not doing this show, then I do swear. Yeah, I think we all do. But it's not for your ears, is it? So I don't know about all this controversial bit, and that bloke doing the Amiro video was a bit controversial. But in all honesty, Matthew, I was falling asleep watching him, dear. You've got to grab someone's attention, haven't you? Doesn't matter how serious the thing is. If you don't grab it, I know someone else that does videos, and he just doesn't have the power to grab my attention. Someone, you know, I'm not saying who, but it doesn't grab me to watch it. Not similar show to this. It's more of a, I don't know, more of an informative. It's a video, not it's not an audio show. It's a video show. Okay, I've got other news about James Dean, incidentally. James Dean hosts the Matinee Show podcast, which you can find at matineeshow.co.uk with Madam Aries. Apparently, he was out the other day getting drunk with, here we go, another celebrity. Am I allowed to say who? No, probably not. Can't reveal. Horses wouldn't drag it from me. No, no, no. Not telling you. Apparently, he was out with a rather famous celebrity. Oh, because you know that, don't you? Oh, yes. Yes, yeah, James Dean and his celebrities, dear. If you've been on the telly, James Dean wants to know you. It's all very sad, really. I don't think he's got any friends anymore who have, or so-called friends, who have not been on the telly or do a radio show or something like that. He's dropped them all. He's dropped them all, dear. Anyway, apparently he was out getting drunk. Blind, legless, drunk. But, I mean, it's shocking. I mean, we could do a whole show on the dangers of alcoholism. In fact, when you hear about news stories coming from the UK about alcoholic trouble or something like that, usually, and I'm only sharing this with you, you're not to pass this on to anyone. Promise me now. Come on. Tell me that you won't tell anyone else. Right, okay. Usually, if it's an alcohol-related incident, I'm afraid James Dean is likely to have been involved. It's true. So he's up in Manchester the other day, where he lives, and getting drunk with a celebrity. After visited a bar, they then went, and I've got this all written down, so I wanted all the details for you. They were then refused entry to an after-show party. I believe it was the Wizard of Oz. Because they were too drunk. Oh, I can just see it now, can't you? I can see him going to the door. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't come in. And I can see him, because once he's drunk, he's a bit like that. You know, do you know who we are? You're not coming in. But with that, you know, I'm afraid with that, hang on, what have I written down here? With that, he then rang his friend who works at this particular place, and they got him in the back door. Honestly, innit, eh? Terrible. That is, I tell you what, James, that has never, ever, ever happened to me. I've never been refused entry to a venue, and I've never been chucked out of a toilet. Not a toilet. I've never been chucked out of a venue. Never. That is shocking. You see, that's the sort of people they have on the radio up in Manchester. People who get drunk and people who are refused entry into clubs because they are too drunk. Shocking. Shocking. I may have to adjust my phone so that it bars your calls in the end, Mr. Dean. Thank you very much. Right. Are we email time yet? Nearly. Can I just ask you, if you want to communicate with the show, can you do it just on the email, please? And I'll tell you why. Sorry, I hope you don't mind me asking that. Because people are using Facebook and MySpace and YouTube, and it's quite easy sometimes to miss the messages. So please, to communicate with the show, if you could do it just by email, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. All right, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Anything that's related at all to the show that you want included in the next show or whatever, please use the email. Or, of course, the postal address. The email is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. The postal address I shall give you very shortly. All right, now, are we moving on to emails? No, not yet. Oh, I got a little thing from China through the post. Now, this was on eBay. My hands-free thing for the car. It's got this like hook. It's called a jawbone. I think that's actually the brand name. It's a jawbone, and it kind of sits on your ear, and it's got this ear hook. Well, the ear hook appears to be the weak part of it, because this ear hook has got a little bit of metal that goes into the jawbone unit, what sits on your ear. But that piece of metal, I've broke 4 of them now. I don't know about you, but I do find these Bluetooth ear things, what are they called? I don't know what they're called now. You know, the hands-free kits, that's it. I find the hands-free kits that you fit on your ear, I find them exceedingly uncomfortable, don't you? And they're not all that good. Quite often I could be using one and it will lose connection with the unit. And I've had there's a third one now, all completely useless. That Bluetooth stuff just doesn't seem to work very well at all for me. Anyway, I keep breaking these. So I went on the internet to find them, and I think they were hideously expensive for these bits of metal. So I went on eBay, and I found some, and I think it was about £5 from China. Now, apologies if we have any Chinese people. I don't mean to offend you here, but I was a little bit worried about paying something and it coming all the way from China. Well, my fears were unfounded, because I did pay for it. I thought, well, it's only £5, what have I got to lose? Paid the £5, well, blow me down. 3 days later, these little metal hooks arrived. So I'm quite pleased about that. And in future, I think I will probably buy more things if they're advertised as being from China. Although I don't know if I'd be spending more than £25 on anything. I'd get a bit nervous. Not just from China, but coming from really any other country, unless it was the UK, because I'm here in the UK. When you say, if you were spending like, I don't know, £100 or something like that from another country, wouldn't you be a bit nervous about spending all that money on eBay and from another country? Huh? Or maybe you've got some nice stories. Has anyone ever bought anything from other countries on eBay and had it delivered no problem, or not, as the case may be? Do let me know. The email address, chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. My friend Justin, he runs the pub I work out on Friday, one of the pubs I work out on Friday, the Steam Coach in Hemel Hempstead. He once bought a jukebox. Now, I can't remember, it wasn't China, I can't remember where that was from. I think it might have been from Barbados, that one. And he paid, and it was quite a lot of money, and he paid for this thing, I think about £400, and it arrived in pieces. It all got smashed up in the post, so I'll be a little bit worried about that. Right, the postal address, if you want to send anything in the post, is Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED. All right, once again, it's Chris Reardon, United Kingdom Talk, P.O. Box 4073, Bracknell, Bracknell, RG42 9ED. And right at the bottom of your envelope or postcard, whatever, put United Kingdom. Okay. Those of you watching on YouTube will notice the Christmas tree has not yet arrived yet, boys and girls. We are still waiting for time. I don't know if I'll have time. I might even have time today. I want to go down to Sainsbury's home base or Woolworths because they've got 75% off their Christmas decorations at the moment. We like to save money, so I'm hoping to pick up a small Christmas tree only for the studio. We don't have Christmas decorations in the house, dear. I'm sorry. I can't be bothered. But I want to put a little one behind me here in the studio and a wreath hanging up there, so it might be in place for the next show. How exciting. It depends what time I finish the show today. Or at least what time I finish doing all the editing afterwards, to see if I can get down to the shop or not. Okay then, let's go to the emails today. Let me see. Oh, hang on, no, there's something else to tell you. One minute. Where's that? Where's that gone now? There we go. Bless me, Suko, for I have sinned, and I do feel that I've let you all down, boys and girls. I've let you down. Now, do you want to know why? I have started using the heating. Now, it's not on permanently, okay? Just an hour here and an hour there. Because it has now got very cold. And I haven't been feeling too well recently. I did say to you on the other phone. I'm not quite sure. I've still got this throat problem. I've still got the ulcers, even though I've put that paste stuff on. And it just seems to be going on and on. I did feel quite ill last night at work, actually. I can't put my finger on it. There's no chest pains. There's no being sick. There's no running nose. Just overall, a feeling of not right. I'm sure you've had that before as well. So, because of that, and also I've been a bit worried about frozen pipes in the loft, because it has been below freezing for a few nights here, certainly here in Berkshire. I have been using the heating. So I feel I've let you down. Now, what was the date? Just a minute now. We weren't supposed to put... Oops. Oh, dear. Just a minute. I just dropped something on the floor there. That's Joe's present I've just dropped on the floor. I've got a parcel to open on the show today. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to put it on until the 29th of December, was I? But I'm afraid it's on. Not at the moment, but it has been on a few times. And if it goes below freezing, then I think I'm entitled to put it on, aren't I? But I think I've done very well. A lot of people have had their heating on since September. Here we are. Second week in December now, near enough, aren't we? Or are we there already? I think we're second week in December. And I've only just put it on. So I'm really pleased with myself, actually. But there you go. A lot of people, I think, use the Earth's resources unnecessarily. When, yes, let's be honest, you know, an extra jumper will sort out the problem. However, once it goes below a certain level, I think I'm entitled to put it on. Do you? Please forgive me, I've let you down, haven't I? Right, here we go with the emails then. First of all, I'm shocked, boys and girls, quite frankly, by the next email. Shocked and horrified. I thought we were all decent, law-abiding citizens. Especially certain friends and loyal listeners to the show. Let me read this to you, and you dear friend and listener to United Kingdom Talk, will make judgment. You today are Judge Judy. Now shut up! Now shut up! Listen! I'm Judge Judy, now shut up! I love her, didn't you, Judge Judy? How old is she? She's got to be in her 60s, hasn't she? Oh, excuse me. Hi, Chris. I am sending this as a private email since I am a little ashamed of myself. I know it says private email, Susan. But I'm sorry, dear. This has got to be heard by all. Actually, if you're ever worried about sending me private emails, don't be. All you've got to do at the top is put not for broadcast or private email. I actually emailed Susan back and said, please let me read that out. And she said, oh, go on then. So here we go. Have a listen to this. Now, let me give you a bit of background if you're a new listener or viewer to the show. Just to let you know, Susan recently went to the Dallas reunion party at South Fork Ranch. She met a lot of the stars that were in Dallas, took a lot of pictures and kindly sent them through the email to me. Pictures of her and Larry Hagman, Charlene Tilton, Linda Gray and some of the others. Some of them look good. Some of them, some of them look terrible. And it's the strangest thing. The prettiest ones, at the time, seem to have fared the worst. Now, I want you to remember that, boys and girls. When you go out to perhaps a party or something, and you know sometimes you get those youngsters who are very good looking. But they know they're very good looking. You know the sort I mean, don't you? The ones that are good looking and don't realise it are actually usually quite nice. But isn't it a nightmare when you've got someone, or you know someone who is very pretty or good looking, and it can be a boy or a girl, and they know it? Don't you hate people like that? Well, I'm afraid the ones that were particularly good looking in Dallas are the ones that have seemed to have lost their looks the most. The ones that were, I hope you don't mind me using the term, of average looks. I would consider myself of average looks. The ones of average looks, and no disrespect to them by saying that, average looks, JR, Bobby, even Sue Ellen. The ones that had average looks still look reasonably good. But the ones who are really pretty, no names mentioned. My mouth is sealed. I'm not going to tell you. The ones that were very pretty and appeared to come across as knowing that they were very pretty, I'm afraid, don't look so good anymore, do they? Actually, I quite like that. Certainly working in clubs, as I do, and you see some of these people come in who think they're God's gift. And then as the years pass and I'm still there, they could go into a club and pull left, right and centre, just like that. And like, if you dare to chat them up, you just got the attitude that was just terrible. And I always like it when a few years down the line and I'm perhaps still working there, and suddenly they can't pull anymore. And a little smile comes to my face. Is that being nasty? Is it being nasty? Tell me now. So as I say, Susan went to the Dallas reunion party, right? Just to fill you in on the background thing. The whole thing was a bit of a disaster, to be honest. They were promised all sorts of things, and it just didn't materialise. Right. So, Susan says, while in line for our buffet dinner, most of us were grumbling and carrying on about not getting to meet the stars, our seat mix-ups, and no mementos from the show. Because they were supposed to get a little bag, which they got. They got the little bag with little mementos from the show in it. And instead, what they got was a little bag with samples of shampoo and toothpaste in it. Oh, it was shocking the way this promoter carried on, I tell you. This was... Actually, come to think of it, Susan, let me see if I can just bring this up on the on my computer. But we've got a similar thing. We've got something going on here in the UK at the moment. Here we go. I want to read this to you. Again, it's on the BBC website. Here in the UK, we have at the moment, or we had, I don't know if it's still on now, this thing called the Lapland Attraction. Okay? Now, they've been advertising that you go to this place. I think it's in Dorset. And it's supposed to be like going to Lapland. Well, I saw the thing on the television news, and it doesn't look anything like the sort. It was shocking. All you saw on the television was a few wooden huts, a few bits of Christmas tree loosely scattered all over the floor, and a lit up reindeer that was plugged into an electrical socket. You've never seen anything so shocking, I tell you. And people have paid £25 to go and see this. The BBC website says Lapland, there's another thing here, Lapland, West Midlands promises an enchanting experience including real huskies, reindeer and an ice show. And it's just not happened. Hey, £25. It's supposed to include attractions such as cartoon characters on ice, stilt walkers and nativity plays. But there was a letter from someone who went to this attraction in our own local paper here, the Bracknell News, and said they were bitterly disappointed when they went. It was just awful. Isn't it shocking how people are conned like that? As indeed Susan was when she went to this Dallas thing. So there we are. Don't go. That Lapland thing looks awful. Don't take my word for it. Type it in, Lapland Attraction, into Google or so. UK Lapland Attraction. I think there was one in Dorset. That was the one they showed you on the television. Dreadful. Dreadful as someone can get away with that sort of thing. Anyway, Susan goes on to say, I'll start again. While in line for our buffet dinner, most of us were grumbling and carrying on about not getting to meet the stars, our seat mix-ups, and no mementos from the show. This was before I went around to the back of the stage and got to see them. Yeah, because Susan was very crafty. She went behind the stage. There were no security guards. And went to meet the people. All the stars were around there, chatting away to them. She says, the man in back of me in time for food. Oh, hang on. The man behind me in line for the food was saying that he wished he had a tote bag like mine. He said those dishes would make some real nice souvenirs since they had Southfork scrolled on the plates. Now, this is the dodgy bit, boys and girls. He gave me an idea. When it was my turn to get my dinner plate and dessert plate, I casually picked up 2 of each. Now, listen, I'm going to have to quieten my voice down now because obviously we don't want Susan to get in trouble here. You understand what I mean? Okay? By the way, if you ever want to send in me an email like this, do not worry. I'm like a Catholic priest. This is between just you and me, okay? Right? If the authorities come to me demanding that I give them the email, do not worry, it will already have been shredded. I will take your secrets to the grave with me, dear. I casually picked up 2 of them. You couldn't tell that I had any extra plates as they were underneath the plate I was putting food on. Susan, you crafty lady! You crafty, crafty lady! We hardly had time to... Shh! There's no one listening, is there? Don't tell anyone this. This is between us, right? We hardly had time to touch our food before the show began. As we were eating in almost pitch dark, it was easy for me... I don't know if I can even bring myself to tell you this. It was easy for me to slip the 2 clean plates onto my lap and then into my tote bag. I dearly wanted my little buddy Chris, that's me, to have a set of these. But I wanted them too. So I scraped off the remainder of the food into the trash and wiped the other set of plates clean with my napkin. With my napkin. Into my tote bag they went. This really made the tote bag quite heavy to carry around the rest of the night. I ditched the hotel directory that was in the gift bag. That was a lot of unnecessary weight. Oh, Susan. I don't know what to say, dear. Do you know, I think, I've been at a restaurant. You know what, my mum, whenever she went to a restaurant, she will always come home. Does anyone, you've got to tell me if you do this, anyone else watching or listening to the show? My mum, whenever she went to a restaurant, always came back with a bag full of little packets of sugar and salt and pepper. She had hundreds of these things, dear. I don't think she ever bought sugar in her life. Of course, I used to do toilet rolls. I used to nick toilet rolls from places, yeah. Do you know, I've got to tell you, I have not bought a toilet roll for 20 years. It's good, isn't it? Not a single one, dear. So if you ever employ me, now you know I don't drink. You can leave me in a cellar full of beer and wine and lager. Nothing will be touched. But lock the toilet rolls away. All right? Susan says, I got to feeling very guilty about this several days after the show and called the regular staff that worked at Southfork. I offered to pay for the dishes I had pilfered, but the manager would not take it. She laughed and said that the crook who organised the event had to account for any lost china or silverware and the cost was minimal. She told me not to worry about it. These plates are not for sale at the gift shop. They are only used for private barbecues at the ranch. So I doubt if anyone else in England will have a set of these unless they too have sticky fingers. They should be a nice addition to your kitchen since you are also getting a new slow cooker for Christmas. Yes, I am. And do you know what? I rung up my niece and I said to her, oh, I found a slow cooker for sale. It's only £10. It was £9.99. She said, oh, what size is that? I said, oh, I didn't think to look. She said, what size have you got now? I said, oh, I didn't think to look. So I don't think I'm going to get that one. I said I wanted the largest one you can find. I think it's about 8 litres. Whatever that is. I'm not sure what 8 litres is. Is that about 2? Is that about 4 pints? See, what it is, I have got a small slow cooker at the moment, Susan. But I want a bigger one because I like to make a lot of food at the same time and then put some in the freezer. Saves time, doesn't it? Susan says, so incidentally, if you do get me, if you do manage to get me a plate here, I'm going to put it on the wall behind me there, okay? With all the other, we're running out of space on the wall, aren't we? So, Chris, she says, the next time you're up the street visiting your neighbour, the Queen, because she only lives down the road, dear. Windsor Castle, it's just down the road. She says, forget the silverware, pick me up a couple of plates. I know she has thousands of them. She won't miss a few. I wish I had thought of this when I got to meet a relative of hers. She had her bodyguards make us a pot of tea and served us... What's that? Godiva? Godiva? What's, I don't know what that is. Godiva chocolate-covered biscuits as well. They sound nice. Those teacups were beautiful, and I know they were quite expensive. She has quite a sense of humour. I bet she would look the other way if I told her I wanted one. I'd love to meet the Queen. I think she'd probably got the most marvellous sense of humour. I'm sure she has. I got to visit with her for several hours a few years back. What, the Queen? Surely not, dear. Hang on a minute. Have I missed out a line here? Who are you talking about here? Let me read the paragraph. I got to visit with her for several hours a few years back. She received a cowboy hat as well. It was not the same as yours. Of course, I hope not, dear. Though in her pictures, it looks just like yours. Hers was actually a dark brown. Instead of having chains around the brim, hers had feathers. She also has a liking for Texas oilmen as well. Can you guess who I'm talking about? I will send you some pictures of her if you'd like to see them. No, I've no idea. Who are you talking about there, my darling? Oh. The mystery is there. Oh, I've got a really bad throat today. It's just going on and on, this throat problem. I'm not being funny, right? But I've got to say, it's worse when I've been talking for a while. It may be that I have to stop talking for a week. Could that be what it is? Have I strained my voice? I don't know. I've no idea who you mean, Susan. You're going to have to tell me, my darling. She says, and more good news. I received a full refund for the price of my ticket to Southfork. Thankfully, I'd used my Visa debit card to purchase it. Oh, very good. Yeah, because they're responsible, aren't they? I only found this out recently, that Visa, if you pay for certain things on them, like holidays as well, I believe, and it all goes wrong, then they have to pay you back the money. She says, even though the money comes straight out of my checking account, the Visa logo protects you from fraud. I always use this for large purchases, whether it be a new washing machine or whatever. All you do is call the number on your card to file a dispute. Then Visa takes over. After all the publicity over the rip-off at Southfork, it didn't take them long to get my money back. Yeah, well done, Susan. I'm glad you got your money back, my darling. But not only did you get your money back, you got souvenirs as well, you lucky thing. So I hope your new dishes arrive in England before Christmas, and I hope you enjoy them. Have a nice evening, from Susan. Thank you, Susan. That's a lovely email, darling. But I am shocked and horrified that you have stolen from Southfork. But I don't know. I mean, can you class it as stolen if you then ring them and offer to pay for them? Probably not. All right? I think the Lord above will forgive you for that one, my dear. Thank you, Susan. And I might take the plates up to my sister's at when I go up there at Christmas time, because she won't have anything like that. I said, hey, would you like to put the food on there? She said, oh, what are they? Oh, they're just from Southfork Ranch at Dallas. Huh? She'd be jealous then, wouldn't she, eh? She's an evil woman. She might try and nick them off me. Don't forget, the email address to the show is chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. chris@unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Right, it's another email here from our friend Robert in Iceland. Hello, Robert. Who says, Chris, an Auric. Do you remember we found out that the other day? Suko is rich. She owns an Auric vacuum cleaner. Hideously expensive, dear. And Robert says, Chris, an Auric, da, 'tis nothing. It is. An Auric is everything. It puts you up a class level, an Auric, dear. He says, Chris, an Auric, da, 'tis nothing. I have little elves that live under the stairs that come out each night and sweep the whole house using solid gold brushes. Bob the Viking. Bob, I'm starting to get worried about you. Do you actually see these elves? Oh, dear. I mean, they are... You see, the trouble is, Bob is in Iceland. And you know they've been holding on to our money, don't you? Oh, it's shocking. Shocking, dear. They won't let it go, dear. Ah! Anyway, I think it is starting to affect some of their heads. And Bob is now starting to see elves with gold brushes sweeping his stairs. Very, very worrying. And I did write back and say, Bob, please send the money back. And he says, no, 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 and no, it's my money. Mine, 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 mine. Ha ha! Mine, 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 mine. He's lost the plot. Bob in Iceland has lost the plot. And the sad thing is, they won't even spend our money to help themselves get into hospitals where they do mental things and all that business. Bob, get yourself some help, please. Believe me, there are no elves sweeping your stairs. But kids, that doesn't mean there's no Father Christmas, because there is. And I hope that you've been a good boy or girl this year. What about Tim? Tim, who's just had his 9th birthday. Have you been a good boy this year? Otherwise, no presents. Yes, Santa will not get in that door. Or down the chimney, depending on what you've got. Bob also writes, Chris, do you know... For some reason, every time I write your name, I write Christ, and then have to change it back. I'm anything. Oh, if I could be just a tiny bit as good as Christ was, I'd be a happy man. I tell you that. Sometimes I sit in bed thinking I want to do good things. Do you do that? Do you ever turn around in your mind all the bad things that you've done? And I think we've mentioned this a few times. You know when a loved one passes on. And I know there's quite a few of you have lost loved ones this year. Mine, well, my biggest two loved ones went a few years ago. And I think once they're gone, every bad thing that you ever did comes back to haunt you. Does that happen to you as well? I mean, I'm sitting here, smile on my face, laughing about it now, but it does, doesn't it? Especially when you're in bed at night and I sit there turning it over in my head. What if I'd done this? What if I'd done that? Why did I do this? Why did I do that? It must be a thing when you're a teenager, I think. Would I do them now? Absolutely not. No. Anyway, back to this. I would like to be. I would like to be a better person, Robert, than I am. A kinder person. I want to be kind. I want to help people and be nice. Bob says, Chris, this must be the power that you have. What, you calling me Christ? Don't call me Christ. That's blasphemous, dear. We can't have that. He says, alas, in my case, the name would be Lucifer. Which, if my classical education is correct, means light bringer. I don't know. Don't ask me. Chris and dear listeners to United Kingdom Talk show, I bid you greetings from the land of Thule. Thule. Is that how you say it? Thule. I thought I would share with you all the sights I see as I walk the streets in the wee hours of the morning. Oh my God. What? He has lost the plot, hasn't he? He's got elves with gold brooms sweeping his stairs. And now he's walking around sleepwalking at night. God's sake. Many of the houses and trees are now covered in bright lights. I have... Here, look. Here's more proof that he's lost the plot. I have seen Santa Claus is climbing walls, hanging from trees and doing something else that I would not rather dwell upon. Well, what else is he doing then? One house in particular has a model of Santa Claus, complete with all the reindeer and sleigh. Bob, they are actually models, Bob. I hate to tell you this. They're not real. There are no elves. Oh my, yes. It's a most strange feeling to walk down the street that would not look out of place in Las Vegas and be the only one to see it. So now you're saying you're the only one that can see these lights and things. I'm getting very, very worried about you, Bob. Do you get voices in your head as well? The voices! It's the voices! They told me to do it! Is that happening to you? But, and it worries me so, for across the fjord, on the side of a darn mountain, someone has placed bright red lights in the shape of a heart, twice the size of a football pitch. However, even that was not enough for me. Yes, and wait for it, it pulses on and off, it's flashing. Oh, how vile and tacky. Dear me. More tales from the ski slope, he says. 'Twas on the Monday morning that I came over all funny and had the need to rush henceforth towards the mountain. Not a soul was there, and it was just I and the mountain, the sound of my boots clipping into the skis echoing around the mountain. The sound of a distant car as the town stirs from its slumber, and then waking the town from high up on a mountain came a call. Help! I can't stop! A dull thud and then silence as from the town came a call in reply. Bob, shut up, you stupid Englishman. We are trying to sleep. Listeners, I am Bob the Viking. If I have entertained you, then great. And if not, bless Iceland for bye-bye. Guga Helgi, which means have a good weekend. Thank you, Bob. Bob, you need to seek professional help. I may put you directly in contact with dear Suka. I think that might have to... She'll be able to help you, dear. He's lost the plot, hasn't he? And one more email today. We're going to Matty in Tasmania, Australia. First of all, he wants to know, do I know how to set up a charitable company? Would it be a good thing? Don't know. Entirely up to you. All I know is there is an awful lot of charities now, and I think you'd have trouble setting one up. How'd you do it? I don't know. I like to help people around the world, but I don't know how. But I wish I could help people survive a life in this world, like Africa, etc. No idea, Matthew. Don't know how you go around setting up something like that, I'm afraid, my friend. All right. And he also says, did you know, when I look at you, I see spiders and creepy crawlies in your hair? Is there really? Oh, you must have very good eyes. How can you see that? You must be looking at something else, dear. You're trying to get rid of your grey hairs. Don't worry, my friend. I know you're halfway to 50. I am halfway to 50, but I've never dyed my hair. He says, can I paint your hair, please? No, don't need to paint my hair. Come on. You can't see a grey hair there. Don't lie. Don't lie. When you talk to me, words do come out of the other ear. So, my friend, I don't listen to a word you're saying. It's like you're talking to a brick wall. I'm deaf. Well, don't listen then. Turn it off. You don't think I'm bothered, do you? If you don't want it, turn it off. Simple as that. He says, it looks like you're another century older. I'm 27, you're 45. To me, that is really old. Good. I'm glad it's old. I'm glad it's old. And shall I tell you what? I like being 45. I love it. That's it from the show today. Lots of emails to start off on the next show for you. Do join in, gang. It's Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. Chris at unitedkingdomtalk.co.uk. I'm going to dash out now and try and get a little Christmas tree ready for the next show. See you soon. For myself, Chris Reardon. Bye-bye.